Because the axis wobble, it's a very slow wobble. One complete rotation in 25,800 years roughly. Okay? But because of that, what happens is that in this picture, you see that the whole picture is about when the axis becomes perpendicular to this line joining the earth and the sun. Now, if the axis itself wobbles, then that calculation changes, right? So it's not just the position of the earth on the orbit, but you will have to also take into account the wobble of the axis. Now, if you consider the wobble, then the length of the year is 365.2422 days, which we have been using so far. If you do not consider it, that is, if you think that just going 360 degrees around the sun is my definition of the year, I don't care what the axis is doing, then it is 365.2564 days. This second one is the one which Surya Siddhanta wanted to measure. And they made a little mistake. So they found 365.2586, which is a little longer than this second thing. But now you will say, okay, so why don't we take the second thing? Well, the point is, remember what the second thing is doing. The second thing is measuring the time that the earth goes 360 degrees in the sky. And what is the first thing doing? The first thing is measuring when it will be spring, when it will be summer, when it will be winter. When will we get mangoes in the market? When will we get cauliflowers in the market? Do you consider these questions more important than the 360 degrees around in the sky? If you do, then you will agree that considering the wobble is the time that we care for. Okay? Because that determines the seasons. Now, so what Surya Siddhanta did is that they tried to measure this, but they made a little mistake, which was understandable considering that it was 1400 years ago. So they found this. So this is the thing that was always used in the Bengali calendar. But after this was realized, then now there are two different Bengali calendars. And don't think that one of them still has this wrong thing and one of them has the right thing. No. One of them has this and one of them has this. Okay? So one calendar has the wrong measure of the wrong thing. One calendar has the right measure of the wrong thing. No calendar still adopts the correct measure of the year.
And why is that?
Inertia. If you ask me privately, I will use probably a different word. Now, but there is one thing about the Bengali calendar which we should appreciate, that this is a calendar which is completely irrespective of any religion. Usually all calendars originated or they thrive on some religion. Bengali calendar doesn't. No religion is, the festivals of the religion is fixed by the Bengali calendar. The Hindu religions are determined by the calendars of the north and the west. That is why the Bijaya Dashami keeps shifting. The Islamic festivals are of course determined by the Islamic calendars. The Christians are determined by the Gregorian calendar and so on. So the Bengali calendar has become a completely social calendar, which is an event by itself, but you wish that it should have measured the right thing. Anyway, I now go back to the lunisolar calendar just for a few minutes. I haven't told you how the Indian lunisolar calendars intercalates a month. I told you how the Hebrew calendar intercalates, but not how the Indian calendars intercalate. The point is, what they do is that, okay, consider the lunar month or the synodic month, which I talked about, and average lunar month is 29.5306 days, which I have already said before. Now, define something called the solar month. The solar month would be, roughly speaking, 1/12 of the solar year. So, 365.2422 divided by 12, which is 30.4368 days. Of course, this is an average. Some months will be longer, some will be shorter. But this is the average. The point is the solar month is longer than the lunar month. And the solar month is determined by the position of the sun on the zodiac. Zodiac means you see the sun in the background of the stars. Okay. So, where the sun is located in the background of the stars. So, the whole thing is 360 degrees. That means every month will be 30 degrees. 360 divided by 12. Now, so if this is longer, I mean, not if this is longer, since this is longer than this, what will happen is that if you keep track of both kind of months, the solar month and the lunar month, typically what will happen is that, okay, within your solar month, there is a lunar month which begins. There is a full moon. Okay. Then you go to the next solar month, and then another full moon there, another lunar month begins. But a little earlier, because the lunar month is shorter, right? So, if in the previous month it was on the 15th, maybe next month it will start on the 14th or the 13th. Now, going on like this, there will be a time when you will have a solar month in which there will be 2 full moons. So, 2 lunar months will start. That means there will be one lunar month which will start and end within the same solar month. Okay. I mean, I always love this analogy of buying gas cylinders for cooking at our home. Every month, I just separate some money for paying for the gas cylinders. But the gas cylinder doesn't last for exactly 1 month. Okay. It lasts maybe for 25 days. So, there will be some months when I will need 2 gas cylinders. So, how do I do that? Okay. I have spent a lot of time thinking about it because it sort of gives me an insight on the calendar making thing. Okay. This is also intercalation. And I have my rule which I can tell you, but not within the talk. Okay. Now, so there will be these months, solar months, which will contain contain the beginning of 2 lunar months. Now, if that happens, the month which is completely contained in the solar month will be called a Molomash. And in this Molomash, this is actually the intercalated month. So, in the North Indian or West Indian calendars, if you have, say, Boishakh, Jyeshtha, Ashadh, and then the next month is Molomash, then the next month is not Shravan. The next month will be called Adhik Ashadh, and then Shravan. Okay. So, this way you go, and then you again start watching when Molomash comes, and then you have to adjust again. There are many, of course, other things. There are many rules attached with the Molomash, but those are not, I mean, those are the social rules. For example, you cannot have any good thing happening in Molomash. I guess people are born in Molomashes, so that's a good thing. But people cannot get married in Molomash, assuming marriage is a good thing. But anyway, many other things. But so this is how a month is intercalated in Indian lunisolar calendars. I told you at the beginning of the talk that you will have to keep an eye on this part of the slide.
Yes. I'm watching.
Yes. And now it has reached 19 out of 21. And this is actually the end of the talk. The reason is, I also told you that a change of the background color is like going to a different chapter. The remaining two are not any chapter, they are appendix of the book. So I will not present it here. I stop here. Thank you very much again for your patience. And
There must be several questions.
So topic of the talk is history and mystery. You might have covered the history portion, but mystery portion you have not covered.
okay,
Because-
if you are not mystified by Newton having two birthdays, I
No,
cannot.
not only Newton. Just let me little tell you. You have in your slide number some 3 or 4 you have said in 700 BC Numas made some formula. 46 BC Julius Caesar made some formula. But you have not said how you do. Today we know Julius Caesar made exactly 46 BC. 46 BC. How 46 BC came? Julius Caesar did not know after when he did. After 46 years, new era will come.
Oh, are you asking whether Julius Caesar knew that 46 years later Christ will be born?
Yes.
No, he did not know.
Then how 46 come? That portion you have not covered.
No, that is Palash Baran Pal, not Julius Caesar.
The-
Palash Baran Pal calls that year 46 BC. Julius Caesar called it 700 something Roman era. Roman era started in 753 BC, at the time that the city of Rome was founded by Romulus and Remus. Okay, so they started counting the year from that time. Okay, so every civilization starts counting their zero from somewhere. Okay, and by the way, this is the appendix, part of the appendix.
No, sir. My question is not over. Actually, this AD 1 or BC, this concept was made in 525 AD by Dionysius, one Christian monk, and he made this calculation because in those days, in Roman Empire was divided, Western Roman Empire and Eastern Roman Empire, and Easter was the biggest festival, not the Christmas, and Easter dates were varying in different empires. So he proposed a suggestion to the then Pope John I, and he adopted his, approved his plan. Accordingly, he back calculated in 525 AD and started the 1 AD in this Christian era. And
This is not the question. I still haven't heard, I haven't seen the question mark, okay? But this, anyway.
so this
is
is
a
the
prelude to the question.
No, this is the mystery part.
Have you read the book already?
No, sir.
It's all in the book, okay?
No, sir.
All in the book that I had shown you. But anyway, so the point is, the point that I'm trying to make, that people start counting the era from some important thing in their lives. That part has nothing to do with the dynamics of the calendar, if I want to put it this way, okay? That part has nothing to do with how the calendar runs. I mean, for example, I can start a new era today, or I can start a new era from 1947, okay, when India became independent, okay? It is just shifting the zero, okay? That will not, I mean, for that you don't have to take any scientific decision or anything. So that part I left out, agreed. And I think your complaint was that I haven't covered many things about calendars. This is true. Okay, and I say again that there are many things in the book.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for presenting such a wonderful presentation. In the previous, this previous gentleman just raised a point, I just want to know, because academically we don't delve into the minute details of calendar. So the date of birth of Christ is taken as 25th of December. Okay, and this AD means Anno Domini or after Christ, and BC is before Christ. So what is the, means, if you can just in short tell us, what's the exact calculation? Means taken for the birthday of Christ, or and means Jesus lived for the years. So what are all those years? Means how are those calculated in the Gregorian calendars? So if you can just
This has
explain.
nothing to do with the Gregorian part. As I am emphasizing again, when you start your 0, when you say your 1, that has nothing to do with Gregorian or anything. Gregorian will tell you how much will the length of the year. It doesn't tell you when you will say it is year number 1. That's the era. Okay?
So how will we match the events of Jesus' life, or the birthday and the means?
You heard this story that the three magi came to
Yes.
look at Jesus. How did they know? There was a star. What was that thing? This is supernova. Supernova means that it's a star which becomes almost 1,000 times brighter within a matter of few days. Okay, so there was a supernova explosion at that time, which the Chinese recorded.
Okay.
Okay, so from that there was some back calculation, and even the back calculation was not very accurate. So Dionysius Exiguus, whose name he mentioned, Dionysius Exiguus, when he first made the calculations, he decided on some date according to whoever was the king at that time, etc., etc. But later it was found to be wrong, okay, because according to his calculation, Jesus would have been born before Herod was on the throne, but Herod should have been on the throne because Herod actually ordered all the children to be, killed. So the calculation was also wrong. So it was later realized that Jesus was not born on 0 AD or 1 AD. Jesus was born on 4 BC. So there is this joke that Jesus was born 4 years before Jesus was born, but because the calendar could not have been changed at that time already. But it was an interesting story by itself, which is covered to some extent in my book, and of course in many other books, that the Christians, how Christians took up this calendar, because the calendar had no input from the Christians. Christians overtook it. Okay, so how they adopted it, okay, and they adopted it much later, much later. I mean, Christ did not become immediately famous. Okay, in fact, in the beginning, for about 100 or maybe more years, the disciples of Christ were actually, they were hiding themselves because of the fear of being executed. Okay, so only 5th or 6th century, around that time, the Christianity was in the open, and so it is a history by itself, and I don't certainly remember.
So mathematically, still it's a controversy. Means there is no absolute birthday or so as on date. Means scientifically or mathematically. So we don't take any absolute date. Means technically, if we are counting on the events of the life activities of Christ or the birthday, so still it's a controversy.
No.
We can calculate the exact.
According to all the data we know, Jesus' birthday has been decided to be on 4 BC. If there is new data, then of course that's a different thing.
And it's 25th of December.
Date is difficult.
Date is-
Date is
okay.
difficult to say.
Okay.
1,000-year years are also difficult. Yeah. In 1,000 years, because those days years was counted as this is the 5th reign of the Roman consul such and such, or 5th year of the Roman emperor such and such. This was the way years were counted. So when Dionysius made the back calculation, there might have been some mistake. And this
Not there might have been some mistake. There was some mistake.
And these mistakes, not only now today you are in 46 BC, it could have been 45 BC also.
No, that one is much better known because there were actually records of the Roman.
You are telling this
Let me just interrupt you for 1 second. In one case, you are talking about Julius Caesar, who was the emperor of Rome. In one case, you are talking about. In the other case, you are talking about Jesus Christ, who was the son of a peasant in Palestine somewhere. Whose records are better kept? Do you think? Julius Caesar. So 46 BC is much better known. Okay? But Julius is, Jesus Christ's birthday is not so well known.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Because nobody actually kept the record. And birth certificates were not invented at that time.
Sir, good evening, sir. I just wanted you to tell us the difference between the Vikram era and the Saka era. I mean, why do some people follow Vikram era in their calendars? And
Let them follow whatever they want.
no, but what was the reason for calculation for our Indian calendars?
As I said, the era is a different thing. I haven't mentioned the era at any time in the talk. Era is a different thing. You start your zero from now, fine, you go and start. Okay? I'm sure Modi will propose 2013 Modi era starts from that time. Okay? I mean, all.
So calendars are different in by people who follow the Vikram era and
The era is not the part of the calendar. The era is another thing. Calendar is how, I mean, it's like you are driving a motor car. Okay? So what is in the engine of the car that is important for your driving? But what is the name of the car is not important for the driving. Right? So what I have described is what is the machinery needed for running of a calendar. Okay? How you name it, when you bought it, this kind of things are different. But different eras, of course, exist because different important people have started the era in their name. I mean, as you were saying, I mean, it was that king's